I'd like to also thank Teresa for getting our club involved in the Pints for Polio. She was at Uncle T's, I think it was Saturday night, and she was live for a little while. I think it was, what, about maybe 5 or 10 minutes? Six. But she got us some exposure with the district. We had our meet and greet last Tuesday at Tula Tacos, and we had 4 of us that showed up. In fact, a new prospective member, Seth Jones, showed up, and I was hoping that he was going to make the meeting today, but I don't see him. Next month, we'll be meeting at Spoonbill, which is on Jefferson. It's that old gas station, at kind of cat-a-corner to the Rock and Bowl. We'd like to go ahead and call up Lauren Fitz. We're going to give her our donation to Junior Achievement. Lauren. I don't know if they can see us in front of the. I don't know if y'all could see that, but we just presented Junior Achievement with a check for $250. And Lauren is going to take that, and I guess we'll get some. She had given me some information. I'll have to get it to the club of where exactly the money is going to go. She had told me, and I have it. I didn't have it with me today. The district raffle. I sent the tickets for those who have given me their money for the raffle that they're going to be drawing this Saturday for Halloween. It's a trip to Disney World for 2, and this is going to be December of 2021. I still have 2 cards left, which has 8 tickets, 4 tickets per card, if anybody is interested in buying a ticket. But if you do so, you're going to have to get it to Rob Roy in Abbeville before Saturday evening. So I do have some tickets available if anybody would like to purchase some. They're $25 a ticket, but you're going to have to get them to Abbeville before Saturday night. I received some information from Parish Proud. Parish Proud is going to, in fact, they're going to be speaking to us in January at one of our meetings, but I got some information on an event that they're holding on Saturday, November 14th. And I just don't think that that we have enough time, to put something together because of our other events that we're going to be doing. But if anybody is interested in trying to run with this one, I have all the paperwork and information, contact information of who you need to get in touch with to be a part of this particular event on November 14th. It involves cleaning streets, weed eating, doing various cleaning projects. And I want to think it's in the University I-10 area, somewhere around there. At this time, I'd like to go ahead and call Scott Schilling up. Scott is going to be talking to us. He's with Louisiana Trails, and he has several other individuals with him today that are going to, I guess, going to be speaking also. So, Scott.
Okay, all right, it's working. Well, thank you all very much for the time and giving us the opportunity to come talk about Trail and all of our events that we put on to support Trail. This is a great reconnection. I'm a former Rotary North club member, and then also I'd like to introduce Frederick and Ray. For all those that are here, y'all can look over there and see them. This is our team at Trail, and so we work closely together trying to put on these events and pull off some of these projects. So, Brian, whenever you're ready to throw the slides up, we'll get started. So I'm recycling an old presentation that I call Cycle Zydeco 365. It's a presentation that we've made to several civic organizations and also the Lafayette Visitors Convention Center. And the whole push behind, the primary push behind the presentation was to help construct the Attakapaw Eshak Trail. And the argument was, if we could build the Attakapaw Eshak Trail, our largest event, Cycle Zydeco, could take place 365 days a year. People from all over the world will come enjoy this path. You would have tour guides that would create events around it, and it would bring cyclists and runners and bring them to South Louisiana and getting them outdoor and active. So that's the title for the event. But we're going to really go through the background about trail. I'm going to make the request for partnerships and volunteer opportunities specifically to the club. We'll talk about some of our projects, some of our events, and then we'll end with one of our newest events, which is the Bike Across La Louisiane. We call it the Ball, and it's a bike ride that'll start in Lafayette and finish in New Orleans over 4 days. And we're reaching out to all the Rotary clubs along the route. Hopefully this could become a Rotary event in itself. So when we talk about partnerships, it's not just volunteering. We're asking, we're open arms to be as involved as y'all would like to be in any of our events, not just, physically coming out to help out volunteering, but if you wanted to make it a fundraiser for the club, we would, fully embrace that. And we've done it in the past with other organizations. Probably our biggest impact that we had, our biggest check that we've had, 1 year during Cycle Zydeco, the Boy Scouts have always been involved in some form or fashion, but 1 year we were able to write a check to them for $36,000. Now, it wasn't just pure profit for them. I mean, they not only did the volunteer, but they also had a substantial investment there. They provided tent concierge services for our participants in Cycle Zydeco. But the point that I'm making is that we're open arms, so anything that y'all would, any engagement that you want to have, we would entertain it and welcome it. So let's go into the next slide, and we'll talk a little bit about trail. Well, this is the volunteer sign-up sheet, so you'll probably get this in an email or through a Google Sheets. This is not the limit, what you're limited to sign up for, but here's some of our upcoming events pretty soon. We have the Bikes, Brews, and Almonds 2 in November, which is a 2-day bike ride. And yeah, if you don't mind passing it around, for all those here, you can sign up, put your name, check off anything that you're interested in, and then we gave a couple of areas of work interest. You can put anywhere in there if you want to be a driver, if you want to bartend, wherever. All these events have a lot of needs, and we need a lot of people and volunteers out there. And you'll see the names when we go through this presentation. We'll cover the events at that time. So next slide. So just quick, this is a timeline of trail. We started in 2004 during the Metropolitan Planning Organization's efforts to meet the transportation guidelines for the federal government. They required a pedestrian and bike plan in place. So we had a good group that spent 2 years developing the bike plan that is now part of the 2030, that was adopted as part of the 2030 plan. We spent 2 years in there and realized that and felt that the stuff that we were working on was never going to see the light of day. And so we wanted to create an organization, TRAIL, which is a nonprofit. It's an acronym for Transportation Recreation Alternatives in Louisiana, so we seldom say that. And it was going to work alongside of private individuals and government to help bring some of these projects to fruition. And then shortly thereafter, we put on our first event, the Lundy Grove Bar-a-thon. They had a bunch of triathletes looking for something to do on Mardi Gras, so we created a bar-a-thon. Later on, we partnered with the Alzheimer's Association. We started putting on bike rides and runs. We handled the logistics side. The Alzheimer's Association handled the volunteers and the sponsorships, and realized that by putting on these events, we got people outdoor and active and utilizing the assets that we were trying to build, the parks and the recreations opportunities. So we got people outdoor and active and using the projects that we were interested in building. So shortly thereafter, we purchased the Cajun Country Half Marathon. It was just a half marathon at Acadiana Park. We'll spend a lot of time talking about that today. And today, that event is now 5 events. We've grown into 5 events, and it has a tremendous potential to attract runners from all over. We've had 34 states represented any given year on that. Then 2015, we created the Tour de Attakapaw with festivals Acadiana Creole, which involves Vermilionville. And then shortly thereafter, when in 2013, we took on Cycle Zydeco, which really was a big game changer for us. And that's a massive event. And, so we were fully committed to the event program. And then in 17, we took on an event that was near and dear to the club, the Sugarman Triathlon. It was John Aber was very instrumental in getting the club involved. So the club was doing sponsorships, and there was a 50-50 split between the event and the club, and they had a lot of manpower out there too. So we've now put on the Sugarman Triathlon. Then we also, that year, we added a duathlon to Tour de Tacapult, which is a run, paddle, run that comes to Vermilionville. And then in 2019, we added 2 paddling events, and we'll talk about those, the Bayou Vermilion Paddle Battle, and then also Shark Bayou Blast. So let's roll on. Okay, so this was a spaghetti mess that is the bicycle transportation plan. Buried in this spaghetti is the beginnings of the Tacapult Eshak Trail, which I consider as a keystone project for us. So next slide. And if you look here, this is the Tacapult Eshak Trail, and it connects everything from Opelousas, Cross Springs, Henderson, St. Martinville, Brobridge, and beyond. And in concept, it travels away from roadways, and it was proposed to be a multi-use path for cycling, running. And if you'd imagine, we'll make some comparisons to the Tammany Trace, the Erie Canal, but it's 130 miles of opportunities to be away from the roadways and create less traffic congestion. And when we talk about the traffic, when we get to the Cajun Country Run, you'll see that when we're putting on events, we create a lot of traffic problems, and we have the opportunities to build something like this. We can get all these events off the roads, creating less traffic problems, but also making them more profitable. One of our biggest costs in any 5K or 10K or any event that's being put on as a fundraiser for an organization, the police cost is always going to be your top expense, and we can eliminate that or reduce it significantly. So so we have all these events, and we call it our Get Out and Live series. It used to be Get Out and Move, but it's GOAL, G-O-A-L, Get Out and Live series. And so you can see some of our volunteers and some pictures here. And let's move on to the next slide. And here's a list of our events. You can see we got something going on throughout the year. So there's a couple of economies of scales that we can realize by putting on these events. And some of them we don't even put on for ourselves. Like they have the Paddle the Extra Mile has an event, a paddling event here, and we handle the back end administrative side. It's a fundraiser for them, and so we're just a partner with them. But we have something going on throughout the year. So when we're putting out marketing material, we can leverage all of our events to get the marketing and the reach. So we buy ads on Google or in a magazine, we can spread it out. Also, when we go out to try to solicit sponsorships, our sponsors are not just recognized for one event one time in a year. They have the opportunity to be recognized throughout the year, constantly across our events. So next slide. Okay, so here we're going to talk about how the projects and events dovetail and get people outside and active. Where you're looking out on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see the Park Pump Bro trailhead. You also see the nature station. The Park Pump, that trailhead, we were one of 4 parties to help assist with the grant. The test project was the tip of the spear in getting that project constructed. We partnered with the Lafayette NPO at that time to help put up some money to get that constructed. Then you also see the Acadiana Nature Trail. Speaking of the grants, on the Tacapult Eshak Trail, today, very small segments have been constructed. It's from Park Sans Souci to here, Vermilionville and Beaver Park. And that's 5 grants were provided by the state of Louisiana to get to that. We partnered with at that time, the Lafayette NPO, which is now the Acadiana Planning Council, to get those completed. Let's go on to the next slide. So events and projects. So the event is Cycle Zydeco. The project is Eunice Walking Park. So this is something we completed in, I think, 18 or 17. The city of Eunice had been a tremendous supporter for Cycle Zydeco. It was one of the final destinations. We brought all the cyclists there. We go to Liberty Theater. The city was outstanding to work with. One year they contacted us and said, "Hey, look, we have this walking park. We have some bridges that are collapsing because of neutral rats are burrowing it. Can you help us rebuild this park?" And we worked with the Eunice Rotary Club, and we got this project done in 2 months. But we eradicated the neutral rats. So and then we got out there, we hired a contractor to come and rebuild the footings of the bridges, and the Eunice Rotary Club was going to take over the continued maintenance of that project. So it really was a small project, but this 2-mile walking park was not usable because these bridges were out. So we're very happy to help in as fit our needs, and because of our project, we're there. So this is one that's considered this was a Rotary project that we did. That's still pending. We got some stuff to complete here. I know David just walked out, but we have a map that we need to install. But this was a bike map and bench and bike rack system that we installed at the horse farm. We installed in Youngsville, Acadiana Park, and then also you've seen the one here in at Vermilionville. And this was part of the PR program from the Rotary Foundation. And so we have on the maps, we'd have a write-up you see in behind. We have a write-up about Vermilionville Rotary Trail, and then have maps on how to get around the Lafayette Acadiana area by bike. So this is our installation here at Vermilionville. Okay, so the project here is Acadiana Park, and then the event is Cajun Country Run. So going back to the volunteer worksheet, our probably next project that we're going to work on, Acadiana Park has a lot of damage from the hurricane. We have December 12th, we have the Cajun Country Run, which takes place out there, and the trail runs utilize almost all the trails that are out there. And so we're going to have to go clean up, cut, and I probably actually have to rebuild some of the trails or reroute them to get by. You can see the bottom side, the bottom here is when we did the initial opening after we cut in 4 miles of trails. So here's a project that we did back in 09-10. Let's go back, Brian. We within a matter of a couple months, we had the Cajun Country Run taking place at Acadiana Park. We knew there was 100 acres that the city had essentially purchased that was north to do some wetland mitigation offsets, and there was 5 landowners, and the property I'm talking about is where the Cajun Country logo is on that map, and 5 landowners that held out. We worked with the city and those 5 landowners to get access and property rights, and we even bought property from one of the landowners, and we did that all in the matter of 2 months and built the trails out there. And then when we put on the Cajun Country Run that year, we added a 10K trail run. So at that time we had a half marathon 10K trail run. Today we have the 10K and a 5K trail run along with a 5K, 10K road run and a half marathon road run that takes place out there. So we were quick. The trail was able to work with the city, be nimble, and get this done within a matter of a couple of months instead of having to go through. If it would have gone through the cities and Parks and Recreation, the chain of command, and the process could have been lengthy, and the outcome could have been doubtful. So this is now the largest nature trail south of Chico, and it's also in the backyard of Rotary Club, Lafayette Rotary North. Is backyard. So, and y'all have helped out with this in the past. Y'all have been volunteers, come out to help out with the Cajun Country Run. So we'd love to get y'all back involved. And hopefully this event one day will bring a couple thousand people to the Acadiana area to do this run. So that there's very few places where you can go find 5 different runs in one location, and it's a running opportunity for every type of runner. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay. And so from this run, this is the nature trail that we built. Also the Acadiana mountain bike trail that was out there. We made donations to the Acadiana Mountain Bike Association, which is now Mountain Bike Lafayette, so they could build wash stations and help improve some of their trails. One year we donated 2 dump truck loads of dirt so they could do some constructions. So if you look at going back to the park now, you see the benches and the map installations. Our next slide is going to show us the Eagle Scout project that took place. So next slide. So this was last year. We put up the funds for materials for this Eagle Scout project, and they did the installation of the benches and the maps that you see. So when you're out there now, you have a place to rest, but also if you get disoriented, you can use our maps to help you get your location, your bearings, so you can get around. So it's a much more comfortable place to go hike and run. So, okay, next slide. All right, so this is the Cajun Country Run. This is all of our runs, and you can see the roadways that we use for the road courses. And if you can imagine the congestion that we create when we're going through these neighborhoods. So next slide. So if I had to pick this would be one of our top 3 projects on mine right now. And essentially what we'd be doing is connecting Acadiana Park to Park Pontbreau. So 2 of our projects, Park Pontbreau, which we did with a trailhead, and using a rail with trail. There's a Louisiana Delta Railroad line that runs along there. So we'd be the concept is to do a path alongside the railroad line, and you'll be able to go from Acadiana Park to downtown Breaux Bridge and have to cross very few roads. And this is part of the connections of the Tacapau Eshak Trail, which are the other lines that you see on this map. If we could build this, we'd be able to take all the road courses and put them on that path, and there would be no traffic congestion in those neighborhoods that we currently impact. Plus, you'd have a 7-mile path, the recreation opportunities for people to be able to get off the road and go ride a bike. For me, I have a 4 and 6-year-old daughters. There's very few places around here that I can take them comfortably to go ride their bikes. And there's definitely nothing that has the distance of 7 miles. So this would be I think a well-used path that we could get this constructed. Next slide. Okay. And that's the trailhead and the other. So on the Tacapau Eshak Trail, you're looking at the final construction project, which is coming underneath Highway 90 and finishing up here at Vermilionville. And the next path or the next section that we to construct would be a loop around the Lafayette Airport. And so we'll talk about that a little bit. And you'll probably see some of these pictures down here. You'll see them when we talk about the paddling, but I'm pretty sure that's, compliments of Greg and Donna Landry taking those pictures. But that's the old Rotary paddle trip that would go from Lake Martin to Vermilionville. The top right is a picture of us with, at that time, Public Works, the Lafayette Community Foundation, talking about doing the construction around the airport along with the Airport Commission and operations. So when that project was getting underway and we thought that we had, it was viable and we really thought it was in a striking distance, we created the official run and duathlon of Festival of Acadiana and Creole. So it was a tour to Tacapau, starts at Girard Park, comes here. So they have been asking us to put on a running event for them. We were hesitant because we just didn't want to put another event on our list. But when we saw we had this project going around the airport, it's like, okay, we can pull these together, have an event, have a project, and get people out there. So today we have 3 different distance running options, and we got the run, paddle, run option. So let's, the litter pickup promotion. So y'all got Parish Proud coming pretty soon. I know we've been working with Bayou Vermilion Preservation Association, and they've been partnering to help. They were tremendous helping us last year with Tour de Tacapau. We also have the Bayou Vermilion Paddle Battle. And all of these events, we have the opportunity. We created a litter division, so you don't have to be the fastest, but if you bring back the most litter, whether it's tonnage or volume, we had award categories for people in that area. So when you're thinking about getting involved, thinking about the club's mission, helping with litter abatement, these events can help get out there and have some fun. We've even had discussed trying to do some promotions where people would turn in videos of them cleaning up litter as they were running or paddling, and then they would be entered into a raffle or something. So a lot of things we could do to have fun and promote a clean environment. So this is the Tour de Tacapau, trying to tie it in the route going to the airport. And it's been taking place for several years now. Unfortunately, we haven't gotten the path around the airport. But here's a little history on that path around the airport. We've been to the Airport Commission on 3 different occasions, and every time we made the presentation about the airport loop, they were unanimously in favor of moving forward. Every time we got into started dealing with airport operations, we started running into roadblocks and hurdles. They've had some turnover there, and the opportunity is still there to get this project off. So it's by far not dead, but trying to get the airport operations to get motivated to do it is going to be I think is what our challenge is. So hopefully with some new blood coming on the commission, that maybe we can find a project champion that can help spearhead this project and see this built. If we could get this built, this section, the loop around the airport would be a 5-mile path, almost encounter no roads except for where it passes by the airport. And it would travel along the Bayou Vermilion and Bayou Tortue, and it's absolutely beautiful back there. The comparison I like to make is Memorial Park in Houston, which is packed with, on any given weekend. But the scenery that we have here is 1,000 times better than what they have at Memorial Park in Houston. And if you'd imagine, even this project, similar to what we were talking about in Cajun Country, organizations come out here, they can put on a 5K run and not have to incur any police costs. It would be an outstanding project to see happen. Let's move on. So this is a little commercial for our tour at Tacapau. If you want to run it, you can. Let's see. I guess there's no sound on it, huh? And we can skip over that. So kind of clean. But I'd rather get to Cycles Zydeco. We got a commercial there we can look at. Yeah, and that trail section is back behind the airport. Oh yeah, and anytime you volunteer, we're sure to keep you well fed and well hydrated. So these are the two paddling events that we have that we've added in the last couple of years. We have the Shark Bayou Blast and the Bayou Vermilion Paddle Battle. We married them up with the group with Tour de Teche, and they put on several events throughout the year. And so people could travel from Texas, Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, and make it a weekend of paddling and have two events that they could compete in. The Shark Bayou Blast is at Sycamore Point. It's a loop around Shark Island. And then the Bayou Vermilion Paddle Battle will be based out of here, and we'll have distances going out from 1 mile all the way up to 40 miles. So we'll go on to the next slide. And then the Bayou Vermilion Paddle Battle travels along a lot of the areas where the Tacapau Eshak Trail would go. The Tacapau Eshak Trail travels along a lot of waterways, so the trailheads are not only for runners and cyclists, but there would be great paddle put-ins as well, and tying into a lot of the assets and the resources that the Bayou Vermilion District has or is working on. So I think Greg and Donna, thank you for those pictures. Okay, so Cycles Zydeco, by far our biggest production. It's a 5-day party, 4 days of cycling. Average age of the participants are over 61, and they're here and this is their priorities in order to eat, dance, drink, and then they just happen to ride a bicycle to get to the next party. So it is very casual. It's a great event. It was started in 2001 by Joan and Doc Williams with Pack and Paddle. Then the Lafayette Visitor Center got involved to help with the production because it became such a project. In 2012, when Gerald retired from LCBC and Ben took it over, he cut it out of the budget, and rightfully so. Cycles Zydeco spent more time in surrounding parishes and creating hotel stays in other parishes than actually in Lafayette, and it was taking up a lot of his resources. But it was a natural fit for us, and so we put it in our portfolio, and we were able to not only grow the event, but we also created a lot more hotel stays in Lafayette. And today, we have the option, people can either camp, they can stay at a local hotel in the towns we're going to, and we offer shuttle services to and from the Lafayette Hotel so they can stay in Lafayette every night and never have to switch beds. So this is a little video kind of giving you a little flavor of Cycles Zydeco. We have people from around the world that travel. And that year we had probably the greatest cyclist ever, Bernard Hinault, is a 5-time winner of the Tour de France. Came in from France, and we were very proud to host him. And a lot of the people have made this a annual event. So you'll see about 30% of our participants are repeat offenders. So one of the coincidences, when you look at the Tacapau Eshak Trail, so there's a project and here's the event, Cycles Zydeco. I've known about Cycles Zydeco since 2001, because in that time I was working in the beer business, and they would constantly come and ask for free beer. But I never got involved with it. It seemed like a leisurely cycling event, and I didn't want to, spend my weekend doing a casual ride. I was at that time trying to be more competitive, so I always passed on it. 2013 was the first time I physically got involved with Cycle Zydeco, and I tell you what, it taught me a lot about our backyard. It was an educational experience for me. But one of the coincidences is that if you looked at the Attackable Eshak Trail, which is on the right side of your screen, and you look at the route for Cycle Zydeco, and this was the 2018 route, if you overlay them, we're touching the same towns. So if we were able to build the Attackable Eshak Trail, then we could take Cycle Zydeco off the roads. Not only that, but people could come and do this event any time of their year. They could do it on their own leisurely pace. Some people ask us for routes so that they can come do this in times where we're not putting it on because they have travel conflicts. So if you click through, it's going to pop up and show you, highlight the towns that we travel to and overnight in, and just see some of the similarities. But we just do that and move on to the next slide. So the argument is that this would be a tourism boom. And one of the nice things about being down here in South Louisiana during the winter times, we don't have to contend with snow. So it's a cycling conditions year round. Then on the next slide, so we're the next two slides I'm going to have comparisons of the Erie Canal Trail in New York, and then also the Tammany Trace in Covington, Slidell, and Abita. If you look at these number of impacts, the financial impacts that the Erie Canal is experiencing, what we do with Cycle Zydeco, we're more than double what people are spending on lodging, food, souvenirs, and what they're showing in this one. So just looking at this economic impact that they're bragging about, I know that what we do with Cycle Zydeco is double those numbers. And let's go to the next one. And Tammany Trace, the same thing. One of the nice comparisons, if you look at the Attackable Eshak Trail, and you compare it to the Tammany Trace, which is a rail-to-trail conversion, the Tammany Trace has a lot of road crossings, so there's a lot of stop signs. It travels through some low-income and industrial areas, as a railroad line typically does. When you get to the Attackable Eshak Trail, we're traveling along waterways primarily, so the scenery is tenfold better, in my opinion. Go to the next one. Okay, so Cycle Zydeco and a project. Here's a project. This is a project that would fit very well with the Rotary Club, also with Vermilionville. But one thing we're working with the city right now is to build RV campsites at Beaver Park. So right now, we've had last year, we had probably 18 RV campers, and we used Black and Coliseum. They have 50 RV campsites at the location, some with service, some without service. In comparison, there's a bike ride called the Bourbon Country Burn. It's in its 4th year. They use the Kentucky Horse Park. They probably had 400 RVs and trailers. So we're really hoping to see the RV side of Cycle Zydeco grow. What we're proposing right now is 16 spots with service. And what we've laid out here, we've pencil whipped like 32 spots in there potentially. We've had some good meetings. We're hoping to get this built in some form or fashion before April 2021 so that we can host the RV campers without having to use generators and a bunch of hoses strung out all over. So we go to the next slide. So the RV campsites not only be good for Cycle Zydeco, but times where it would have utilization, outside just traditional throughout the year, but major events like Mardi Gras, Festival International, Festivals Acadiana, Black Pot Festival. So we got a little pro forma here, and even when we were looking at those events, I just used 65% occupancy during those times, and it still made financial sense to make the investment. So it's a project that looks like Trail's going to have to take on because Parks and Recreation has no money, and with all the budget cuts that are happening, this would become a Trail project. And with all the budget cuts, there's going to be a lot more opportunities for Trail to find ways to spend money to help keep our parks and recreation facilities up and running. Let's continue. Okay, so our next event, and this is the Bike Across La Louisiane. The right now, what we've test rode is Lafayette to New Orleans, doing it over 4 days. So we did Lafayette to Morgan City, Morgan City to Baton Rouge to LaPlace, LaPlace to New Orleans, and doing it in that week gap between Festivals International and festivals in the last weekend of Jazz Fest. So hopefully we could see this ride become grow and become quite larger than Cycle Zydeco is. When we did the test ride a couple years ago, we had 6 people that did the ride with us. That was more than twice what Ragbri had when it had its inaugural year. Ragbri today is the world's largest bicycling event in the world, with well over 30,000 people riding their bike across Iowa, which is very hilly too. And we have the benefit of being flat down here. So as people get older, we have a much more better, more attractive terrain than people in Iowa. So we're excited about bringing this project to the table. And this is one that we're reaching out to the Rotary clubs along the route, asking them for support. And when we say support, we're looking for not only route recommendations, but being out there with food service, water stations, just cheering people along. When we get to a destination town, we have some logistics of setting up bike racks, moving luggage around, unloading and loading. And then when we get to on the day when we get around the LaPlace area, those where food deficient right now. There's not enough restaurants in those towns to be able to feed a large group. So even if we had 800 people on this ride, we would have to figure out some ways to get some food out there. So this is the Bike Across La Louisiane, the ball. And let's go to the next slide. Okay, so that kind of takes us through the presentation. So you can see our projects that we have and our events. There's a lot of things that I know that the club is currently interested in, from litter abatement, I think Acadiana Park, just building any types of trails. And so there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for partnerships. And we'd love to have you all on board. And that being said, is there any questions or suggestions? Teresa. The only grant that we ever received was for the bike racks and the bench installation. That was the PR grant. And that's the only one that we ever pursued through Rotary. But, and that being said too, I think if you looked at the demographics of the Rotary Club across the nation and across the world, it's a perfect demographic for the events that we put on. I know there's a lot of bike rides that are put on by Rotary clubs for fundraisers. Even the Sunrise Duathlon in Opelousas was a fundraiser for the Sunrise Club. So one, advertising through Rotary would make a lot of sense for us, in my opinion. And then also the opportunities to make this a fundraiser and build recognition is another opportunity. Yeah, so we're looking forward to roping y'all in and getting y'all on board. Anything else? I'll turn it back over to you, Danny.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And as a token of thanks here, we have a little gift. You may have to fight over it between the other 2 attendees, but thank you very much. All right. Okay, we still have, well, let's get a picture here. Okay, again, thanks, Scott, for a great presentation. I know this has always been a great passion of yours, trails, and it's obvious that you've been doing a lot of work, and it's produced into a very monumental project. So many events, good events. At this time, I'd like to go over a couple of more announcements. October's flying out of the door. Here comes November, and November 1st, is going to be a food drive for the club. So we're going to ask everyone, when you come to the meeting, or if you attend virtually, we'd like for you to put some food items together and either bring them to Vermilionville or to Lafayette Memorial Park at my office. So we'll be collecting food over the month of November. Also, November, as of right now, it seems like NFL football is going full speed. They're still playing games. And so we're going to go ahead and plan on doing our Super Bowl. So I'm going to have Adam, put together the Super Bowl pool for us. And starting in November, we'll start filling squares. So it'll give us approximately 3 months, to start filling those squares. And we're going to also attempt to do the second football pool just like we did last year. We were very successful in doing that. For the month of November, on the 10th, our speaker will be Greg Landry. Greg is going to be talking about the Rotary Foundation. And then on the 24th, we're going to have Clary Nolette with Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. So that ought to be pretty interesting. And again, we will be going to do our meet and greet at the Spoonbill on Jefferson Street. In December, on December 8th, we're going to have Matt Gerber with Shelter Box come and talk to us. And then we're also going to pursue the district governor's project of her purse satchel donation project. So what we're going to be doing, Teresa is going to be donating a purse to the club, and we're going to each donate. I'm asking everyone in the club to donate one item, anywhere from $25 to $50. Here's the purse here. It's a big satchel purse. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill it up full of items. I'm asking everyone to get a donation or get a gift certificate to put in the purse. And what the district governor is going to do, she's trying to start making live visits in November, December. And she's going to carry, if you remember Harold Domingue last year, we put together a basket, and he carried our basket to the next club, and they had a silent auction. And Joy, if you remember Joy over here, pretty much snatched the basket away from everybody. And it's going to be pretty similar. It's going to be a purse satchel. It's going to be filled with goodies. And we're going to send that to the next club. And she's going to bring a purse from the club that she visited prior to our visit. Our Christmas party, I've emailed Andre several times. I'm working on trying to get, being that we have Scott here, maybe he can pull a little bit of, a couple of buttons for us. We're trying to get Schilling facility to be able to have our Christmas party, because they added on to the middle area. I don't know if you remember, it was a patio, and they put a roof on it. So it's really a very large facility now where we can easily distance ourselves from each other in a safe way. But Andre emailed me today saying that he's still waiting to hear from Mr. Schilling, to see if we are able to do our Christmas party on the 15th. And then we also are going to be electing officers before the end of the year. So if anyone wishes to serve as an officer, please let Teresa know. We're going to be, we have to turn these new names in before the end of the year. Another new project that we're going to be working on is a virtual silent auction. And this is something that I'm taking pretty serious, because it appears, well, I think they've already made a decision. I think Festival International has already made a decision to not have their festival. Is that correct? Have they not made a statement? Or maybe there was talk of possibly a one-day event. But anyway, there may be something for us to still participate in. But what we're going to work on is doing a virtual auction, and we're shooting for March of 2021. And we're going to start talking about this later. I'm going to, if anyone that wants to work with me on this, I'm going to put together a committee, and we're going to be working on trying to get 75 items. My goal is to get 75 items for the auction. UL Lafayette just did a gala for their foundation, and they had about 140 items on theirs, and they made about $28,000. And many of the items were maybe $50 that were bidded on. They had a couple of big ticket items, but I think we can easily come up, if everybody in the club would start working on getting a donation, two of them. And what I'm asking everyone in the club to get two donations, anywhere from $50 to $100. It could be a gift certificate. It could be art. It could be a massage. It could be a camp. If you have a camp and you want to allow somebody to have a weekend, it could be something dealing with hunting. It could dealing with golf. There's a lot of ways. My wife Vicky is going to donate a quilt to make a quilt for like a high school senior. You know, where you can put all of their T-shirts that they had accumulated over all the years, if the senior was in sports or whatever activities they were in. And so these are different ideas that we're trying to come up with to try and get people interested in bidding. Greg Landry has already sent me information, and I just briefly looked at it, but we're going to be putting a committee together, and we'll probably meet at least once a month, you know, and even more often as we get closer. But it's not going to be a whole lot. We're going to talk about it at our board meeting next Tuesday. And I don't know if anyone has any updates on hurricane relief. I know Joy has gone many times with the hut to go and cook, and thank you, Joy, for doing that. I know Adam Beasley has gone and did a lot of chainsawing with his church, and on multiple occasions. And I even went with my employees one day to help a family clear their yard and house and repair the roof. If there's any other information that I don't know about, please get it to us so that we can recognize those who have helped with some of the hurricane. So for the month of November, we're going to be doing the food drive. And then in January, we're going to be doing a clothing drive. So we have quite a bit of activities coming up. And we definitely want to participate in some way, shape, or form with trails. So we just need to look at the events that are coming up and try to make a decision on where we can best help. Lauren? No, Lauren was asking if we were having a bingo, and we had talked about doing a virtual bingo, but I talked to the fellow with the state, and it's illegal. You can't do a virtual bingo. You can have a live bingo, but you can't have a virtual bingo. It's illegal. Considered online gambling. You know, some people don't understand why it can't be done, but it's considered online. I asked it several times. I even called the guy back and asked him if we were a nonprofit, and he said it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with being considered online gambling here in Louisiana. Now, maybe one day it may be changed, but as of right now, it can't be done. Does anyone have any other questions? Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Board meeting next week. Thank you.